Enemies ahead! Let's go! Let's go!
We all are addicted to something on the internet like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. For example, if you want to watch a video, you simply open your favorite browser and type youtube.com and enjoy the video. It's simple, right? But it's not as simple as that for your computer to understand that you have typed YouTube, Google or something else. That's where the domain name system or DNS comes to play. It is actually surprising that how many developers have only a limited knowledge or even no understanding on how the DNS process actually works. In this video, let us get a quick and high level overview of what the process that is followed when a DNS resolution request is made. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. The DNS or domain name system is the phone book of the internet. Users access information through domain names like google.com, youtube.com, etc. Web browsers interact through Internet Protocol addresses. DNS translates domain names to IP addresses so that the browser can load the internet resources. Each device connected to the internet has a unique IP address which other machines use to find the device. DNS servers eliminate the need for humans to memorize these IP addresses, such as the IP of your local host, which is 127.0.0.1, or more complex and newer alphanumeric IP such as this. Now we know what is DNS. Let's see how does it work. The process of DNS resolution involves converting a host name into an computer-friendly IP address. An IP address is given to each device on the internet, and that address is necessary to find the appropriate internet device, like a street address is used to find a particular house. When a user wants to load a web page, the translation must occur between what a user types into their browser and their machine-friendly address necessary to locate the correct web page. In order to understand the process behind the DNS resolution, it is important to learn about the different hardware components of the DNS query must pass between. For the web browser, the DNS lookup occurs and requires no interaction from the user's computer apart from the initial request. There are 4 DNS servers involved in loading a web page. The first one is DNS recursor. The recursor can be thought of an librarian who is asked to find a book somewhere in the library. The DNS recursor is a server designed to receive queries from client machines through applications such as web browsers. Typically, the recursor is then responsible for making additional requests in order to satisfy the client's DNS query. The second server is root name server. The root name server is the first step in translating or resolving human-readable host names into IP addresses. This can be thought of like an index in a library that points to a different aisle of books. Typically, it serves as a reference to other more specific locations. The third server is TLD name server. The TLD or top-level domain server can be thought of a specific rack of books in a library. This name server is the next step in search for a specific IP address and its host and the last portion of the host name. The fourth server is authoritative name server. This final name server can be thought of as a dictionary on a rack of books, in which a specific name can be translated to its definition. The authoritative name server has access to the requested record and it will return the IP address to the requested host name back to the DNS recursor that made the initial request. Now let's talk about the difference between authoritative DNS and an recursive resolver. Both concepts refers to servers or group of servers that are integral to the DNS infrastructure, but each performs a different role and lives in different location inside the pipeline of the DNS query. One way to think about the difference is the recursive resolver is at the beginning of the DNS and the authoritative name server is at the end of the DNS query. Let's talk about the recursive DNS resolver. The recursive resolver is the computer that responds to a recursive request from a client and then takes the time to track down the DNS record. It does this by making a series of requests until it reaches the authoritative DNS name server for the requested record, or time runs out, or an error message is returned if the record is not found. Luckily, recursive DNS resolver does not always need to make multiple requests in order to track down the records that are needed to respond to a client. Caching is a data persistent process that helps short circuit the necessary request by serving the request resource and recording it earlier in the DNS lookup. Now let's talk about the authoritative DNS server. An authoritative DNS server is a server that actually holds and is responsible for the DNS resource records. This is the server at the bottom of the DNS lookup chain that will respond with the queried resource record, ultimately allowing the web browser to make the request to reach the IP address needed to access a website or other web resources. An authoritative name server can satisfy queries from its own data without needing to query another resource, as it is the final resource of the truth for certain DNS records. It's worth mentioning that in instances where the query is for a subdomain such as google.com, an additional name server will be added to the sequence after the authoritative name server, which is responsible for storing the subdomain's CNAME record. Different DNS recursive resolvers such as Google DNS, OpenDNS, and providers like Comcast all maintain data center installations of DNS recursive resolvers. These resolvers allow for quick and easy queries through optimized clusters of DNS. Now we know what is DNS and the types of DNS. Now let's talk about the steps that is involved in a DNS lookup. For most situations, DNS is concerned with a domain name being translated into an appropriate IP address. It helps to follow the path of the DNS lookup as it travels from a web browser through the DNS lookup process and back again. Let's take a look at the steps. Oftenly, the DNS lookup information will be cached either locally inside querying computer or remotely in a DNS infrastructure. There are typically 8 steps in a DNS lookup. When DNS information is cached, steps are skipped from the DNS lookup process, which makes it quicker. The example that we are going to see will outline all the 8 steps when nothing is cached. The first step is a user typing something like example.com into a web browser, and the query travels to the internet and received by a DNS recursive resolver. The second step is the resolver then queries a DNS root name server. The third step is the root name server then responds to the resolver with the address of the top level domain or TLD such as .com or .net, which stores the information for its domains. When searching for example.com, our request is pointed toward the .com TLD. The fourth step is the resolver then makes the request to the .com TLD. Fifth step is the TLD server then responds with the IP address of the domain's name server. The sixth step. Lastly, the recursive resolver then sends the query to the domain name server. The seventh step. The IP address of example.com is then returned to the resolver from the name server. The eighth and final step. The DNS resolver then responds to the web browser with the IP address of the domain name that was requested initially. Once all the 8 steps of the DNS lookup have returned the IP address for example.com, the browser is able to make the request for the web page. The browser makes a HTTP request to the IP address. The server at the IP returns the web page to be rendered in the browser. Now it's time to talk about the DNS resolver. The DNS resolver is the first stop in a DNS lookup, and it is responsible for dealing with the client that made the initial request. The resolver starts the sequence of queries that ultimately leads to a URL being translated into the necessary IP address. It is important to differentiate between a recursive DNS query and a recursive DNS resolver. The query refers to the request that is made to a DNS resolver requiring the resolution of the query. A DNS recursive resolver is the computer that accepts the recursive query and processes the response by making the necessary request. We discussed about the types of DNS servers and steps of DNS. Now let's talk about the types of DNS queries. In a typical DNS lookup, 3 types of queries can occur. By using the combination of these queries, an optimized process for DNS resolution can result in a reduction of distance traveled. In an ideal situation, cached record data will be available, allowing the DNS name server to return a non-recursive query. The first type of DNS query is recursive query. In a recursive query, a DNS client requires that a DNS server will respond to the client with either the requested resource or an error message if the resolver cannot find the record. The second query is iterative query. In this situation, the DNS client will allow a DNS server to return the best answer it can. If the queried DNS server does not have the match for the query name, it will return a referral to the DNS server authoritative for a lower level of the domain namespace. The DNS client will then make a query to the referral address. This process continues with additional DNS server down to the query chain until either an error message or timeout occurs. The third type of DNS query is non-recursive query. Typically, this will occur when a DNS resolver client queries a DNS server for record that it has access either because it's an authoritative for the records exist in the cache. Typically, a DNS server will cache DNS records to prevent additional bandwidth consumption and load on upstream servers. We have mentioned about DNS cache quite a few times as of now. Now let's see what is DNS caching and its types. The purpose of caching is to temporarily store data in a location that results in improvements in performance and reliability of the data request. DNS caching involves storing data closer to the requesting client so that the DNS query can be resolved earlier and the additional queries further down the DNS lookup chain can be avoided, thereby improving the load times and reducing the bandwidth or the CPU consumption. DNS data can be cached in various locations, each of which will store the DNS records for a set of amount of time, which is determined by the time to live option. The first type of caching is browser DNS caching. Modern web browsers are designed by default to cache DNS records for a set of time. The purpose here is obvious. The closer the DNS caching occurs to the web browser, the fewer the processing steps must be taken in order to check the cache and make the correct request to the IP address. When a request is made for a DNS record, the browser cache is the first location that is checked for the request. The second type of caching is operating system level DNS caching. The operating system level DNS resolver is the second and last local stop before the DNS query leaves your machine. The process inside your operating system that is designed to handle this query is commonly called a stub resolver or a DNS client. Then the stub resolver gets a request from an application. It first checks its own cache to see if there is a record stored. If it does not have a record, then it sends a DNS query outside the local network to the DNS recursive resolver inside the internet service provider. The third type of DNS caching is recursive resolver DNS caching. When the recursive resolver inside the internet service provider receives a DNS query, like all the previous steps, it will also check to see if the requested host to address translation is already stored inside the local persistence layer. The recursive resolver has additional functionality depending on the types of record that is stored in the cache. The first one is that if the resolver does not have any records but it does have the NS nodes for the authoritative name server, it will query those name servers directly, bypassing several steps in the DNS query. This shortcut prevents lookups from the root and .com name servers and helps the resolution of the DNS query occur more quickly. The second one is that if the resolver does not have the NS records, it will send a query to the TLD servers, skipping the root server. The third one is that in an unlikely event, if the resolver does not have the records pointing to the TLD, it will then query the root servers. This event typically occurs after a DNS cache has been purged. Okay, so now before wrapping it up, let us see a quick glance on what we saw all this way. We saw what is DNS at the beginning and how DNS can help. We saw how DNS works and we saw the 4 types of servers that were involved in a DNS. After that, we saw the difference between authoritative DNS and recursive resolver. After that, we saw the 8 major steps that were involved in DNS lookup. And after that, we discussed about DNS resolver and DNS cache. And finally, we saw the most likely and unlikely events that can happen during a DNS query request. So I guess that's all for this video. Thanks for watching and hope you guys liked it. Comment down below your thoughts and suggestions for our future videos. And if you are new to this channel, a sub would be massively appreciated. I'll be seeing you guys in the next video.